It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Prime Ticket presents the Dodgers as they take on the Philadelphia Phillies. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Friday night to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers-Phils, Game 2 of a 4-game series. For the Dodgers, they've always had trouble beating Philadelphia in the last 3 years, going back to 2010, counting playoffs as well. They've lost 12 of 18 to Philadelphia here at Dodger Stadium. Tonight, they put a 6-game winning streak on the line, the longest streak since they won 9 straight back in 2010. For the Dodgers, 6 games back in the West, and they'll send Chris Capuano to the mound. Capuano is 2-4, pitching very well coming off the DL, both in New York against the Yankees and last time out against San Diego. He beat Philadelphia last year. On the mound for the Phils, right-hander John Lannon. Lannon is 0-2, but he had knee surgery at the start of the season and missed 55 games. One other thought, Lannon has beaten the Dodgers 4 straight. And another thought, he's from Long Island in New York and grew up, as he said, I love Don Mattingly. We'll get to the ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this. Ticket is brought to you by your Southern California Hyundai dealers. Through July 7th, get a great deal on a new Elantra at Hyundai's 4th of July sales event. By AT&T U-verse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. And by Jack in the Box. Try Jack's Big Stack Burger. 2 jumbo beef patties stacked with onion rings, cheese, and pickles.
Downtown temperatures reaching the 90s in a 6-game winning streak have reignited the summer romance the Dodgers have had with their fans since moving out from New York. All of a sudden, we're starting to believe now. Jim Watson, Steve Lyons in center field. The Dodger outfield, due to injuries for Don Mattingly, has been both a point of consternation and now a cause for celebration. Kemp is back and looking like the old Kemp. Yasiel Puig is all the talk of baseball. Andre Ethier has played all three spots. And now Scotty Van Stash is back.
Yeah, Van Stash is back, but it's not going to change anything. If you're Don Mattingly, why would you change anything right now? You're going to run Ethier, Kemp, and Puig out there almost every day. But everyone's talking about, what about when Crawford comes back? Well, he might not be back until 8 to 10 days. Van Slyke's going to get an at-bat every game off the bench, but these guys are going to play. But when Crawford comes back, he has a leg injury. He's going to need time. Kemp has a leg injury. He's going to need time. And Puig, believe it or not, will need a day off every once in a while.
Last night we had two righties. Tonight it's two lefties. Chris Capuano goes for the Dodgers, running a scoreless streak of 11 straight innings. Cappy has been perfect. Dodgers and the Bills coming up next.
To Dodger Stadium, game 2 of the 4-game series between the Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies. Last year, Philadelphia won 5 of 7. They have a habit of beating the Dodgers here at Dodger Stadium. They've won 12 of the 18. Charlie Manuel, also a former Dodger outfielder. So the Dodgers awaited the arrival of the Phillies, and they have arrived 7.5 games back at Atlanta. Here's the Philadelphia batting order. Michael Young leads off at third base. Chase Utley at second, Jimmy Rollins at short, and Dominic Brown in left field. Delman Young in right field, John Mayberry at first base, then Revere in center, Carlos Ruiz behind the plate, and right-hander John Lannon on the mound. On the mound for the Dodgers, Chris Capuano, 2 and 4, has pitched very well since coming off the DL. Remember, he pitched a great 6 innings against the Yankees and did not walk anybody. And then he pitched another 5 innings against San Diego. So he has 11 scoreless innings in his last 2 starts. No walks, which is shocking when you realize he hadn't pitched in quite a while. And he has 9 strikeouts. Capuano beat Philadelphia last year, and he is 1 and 2 lifetime. The Dodgers made a personnel switch. We'll tell you about that in a moment. But we'll check their leather. It's Adrian Gonzalez and Mark Ellis, Hanley Ramirez and Jerry Hairston Jr. on the infield. Andre Ethier, Matt Kemp, Yasiel Puig in right, Fedorovich behind the plate, Capuano on the mound. The personnel move, the Dodgers called back Scott Van Slyke, so that gives them extra strength, and they sent down infielder Luis Cruz. Leading off, Michael Young, as Scott Van Slyke and the rest of the Dodgers sit back in the dugout. Michael Young is a local boy. He's from Covina. He still lives there. Went to the University of California, Santa Barbara. His name, really, besides Michael, would be Brian, Michael Bryan, but his mom just calls him B. So B checking in, hitting .280, 4 home runs, 19 runs batted in. He was with the Rangers from 2001 through 2012. Michael Young appeared as a pinch hitter last night, flied to right, and we're about ready. So Young, right-hand hitter, checks in. Capuano looks down to get a sign, and the veteran left-hander delivers, and the first pitch in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Michael Young has only played one game ever against the Dodgers, and that was last night's pinch hit appearance. Now the strike one pitch on the way. Capuano works it away. A little bit warmer tonight at game time than last night. 78 degrees last night, 82 degrees tonight. 1 ball and 1 strike the count. Capuano ready. Left-hander comes back. A comeback, a right through the legs of Capuano into center field, and he went down and finally gets back up okay. So Michael Young drills one up the middle for a leadoff single, and the batter will be Chase Utley. So Michael Young bangs one up the middle. The Phillies last night piled up 14 hits and still lost the ball game 6-4. Chase Utley swinging a hot bat, had a single, double, and a home run. And the last out he made for Charlie Manuel was a line drive that was speared by Adrian Gonzalez. It was also a nice touch to have Utley in town last night when the UCLA Bruins college champions were saluted. The first pitch to Chase, the left-hand hitter, and he takes ball 1. Utley, who went to UCLA, he was a big man on campus. Brown, as we said, stolen 8 out of 9. Delmon Young does not have a stolen base. Capuano ready, and his 1-2 pitch on the way. It's reached for and grounded to Ellis. The shovel to Ramirez, who fires to first, not in time. So the Dodgers couldn't get a double play on the ball hit by Brown because Capuano was late covering. Now they just flat out missed the double play. The ball was just not hit that hard. Also, pretty good effort by Delmon Young to drive Ramirez out of a straight line. Hanley had to get out of the way, and the throw was late. So 2 force plays. Delmon Young is off the bases. Dominic Brown is now at third. And here's Ben Revere. He is the 7th man to come to the plate. And Revere is the rabbit on the club. He has stolen 20 bases, and he is very much of a threat with his speed to get a bunt down or whatever. He takes in the dirt. Nice block by Fedorovich. 1 ball and no strikes. In looking at Revere's numbers and the special notes about him, he has 6 bunt singles. He has 19 infield hits. He has a very short stroke, so he's a contact hitter. When he swings, 91% of the time he makes contact. The 1-0 pitch on the way is flared by a diving Ramirez into left field. So that brings in Brown. Down to second goes Mayberry, and all of a sudden it's 3-0 in favor of Philadelphia. Ball was not hit hard. Doesn't have to be. Ramirez just missed on a soft line drive. Missed by inches. Good enough. So Rick Honeycutt going out to talk to Capuano, who has given up 3 runs and 4 hits. He has walked 1, and he is ready to face the 8th hitter, and that's a veteran catcher who normally gives the Dodgers a bad time. That would be Carlos Ruiz. The Ruiz batting in the 8th spot in front of John Lannon with 2 on and a 3-run inning for the Phils. Of course, we know all about Philadelphia's hitting after watching them pile up 14 hits last night. So Ruiz checking in. Capuano checks the runners, now comes to the plate. and floats one in there for a strike. Another changeup. Carlos Ruiz, they call him Chooch. He's from Chiriqui, Panama, and the Phillies signed him back in 1998. Right-hand batter, 5'11", 2'5". Here comes Capuano, and it's a half-swing foul to the screen. Ruiz has been with Philadelphia since 2005. He's gone out and down a couple of times, but he truly is a veteran. He was scouted when he was an 18-year-old second baseman in Panama. The strike two pitch to Ruiz. Fastball a little high. 1-2 the count. His father was a policeman, actually a sergeant, patrolling a nearby town. A tire blew out on the Jeep and his father was killed. The 1-2 pitch swung on and missed, and down he goes. But the Phillies put a big 3 up on the board, 4 hits, lead 2, and at the end of half an inning, Phillies 3, Dodgers nothing. So the 6-game winning streak is on the line. Here are the fellas who will try to come back. Mark Ellis at second base. Yasiel Puig in right field. Adrian Gonzalez at first and Matt Kemp in center. Hanley Ramirez at short. Andre Ethier in left. Jerry Hairston will be at third. Tim Fedorovich behind the plate, and Chris Capuano on the mound. On the mound for Philadelphia, John Lannon out of Long Island in New York. Went to Siena College, that's up in Albany. A couple of things about John. Number one, it could be under the heading, if you can't beat him, join him. Because John has a very bad record as a pitcher against Philadelphia. His first pitch to Mark Ellis misses, ball one. John Lannon's record against the Phils, 3 wins, 13 losses. The 1-0 pitch, Ellis starts to swing, holds up, and the holdup is good enough. C.B. Buckner says no swing. 2-0 the count. So Ellis, Puig, and Gonzalez here at sunset time. The 2-0 pitch is taken in for a strike. Dale Scott, the crew chief, the veteran umpire behind the plate. Lannon into the windup, and the 2-1 pitch swung on and missed. 2-2. Dale Scott, the plate umpire, 28 years in the business. Born in Chicago, lives in Oregon and Palm Springs. Got a degree in television broadcasting back in 1979. Meanwhile, the count goes 2-2 to Mark Ellis. In fact, they asked him, Dale, what would you be doing if you didn't spend your life as an umpire? And he said, I'd probably be a radio disc jockey. Here's the 2-2 pitch on the way. Mark Ellis pokes it back at first. Up with it is Big Mayberry, takes it to the bag, and we have one away. That will bring up Yasiel Puig, and here's the defensive alignment against him. You have Mayberry, Utley, Rollins, and Young, Brown, Revere, and Young, and Ruiz behind the plate. Yasiel Puig playing so well, rather phenomenally, really, when you consider his background, hitting .427, 7 home runs, 16 RBIs, had the game-winning base hit last night. Has a look at a pitch low, ball 1. The debate is, should he be an all-star? Well, he's only played a few games. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. That's a strike. But you can look it up. A wonderful Philadelphia outfielder by the name of Del Ennis. After 61 games, Ennis became an all-star. Joe DiMaggio became an all-star after 57 games. Little roller to Jimmy Rollins. The throw to first is in time. So Puig is jammed and taps out. And we have 2 down. Adrian Gonzalez coming up.
First baseman, number 23. Adrian
You have to roll the clock back to July of 2007 at Philadelphia. And John Lannon became the 5th player in Major League history to be ejected in his debut. Hunter Wendelstedt ejected Lannon after he hit Chase Utley and Ryan Howard with a pitch in the 5th inning. Back to back. Howard had homered in the 3rd, and when he hit Utley, he was kicked out of the game. And that pitch that hit Utley broke Chase's hand. The pitch to Gonzalez off the plate. So it's amazing how the world spins. He gets kicked out of a game for hitting 2 solid players. The years go by, and now they're his teammates. Lannon ready in the 1-0 pitch, and Adrian takes high. 2-0. Gonzalez going against Lannon. Adrian hitting .308, 4 for 13. Now the 2-0 pitch on the way, swung on, and a high drive into center. Back for it, turning is Revere, and makes the catch for the out. So the Phillies sent 8 men to the plate. The Dodgers wind up 1-2-3, and at the end of an inning, 3-0 Philadelphia. Obviously, the Dodgers with a 6-game winning streak in jeopardy. The last time they had a longer streak than 6, you have to go back to 2010 when they had a 9-game winning streak. Earlier this year, you remember the second series of the year, they swept the Pittsburgh Pirates in 3. So John Lannon, the pitcher, checks in at the plate. Right-hand pitcher, bats left-handed. And the first pitch from Capuano misses, ball 1. Lannon 6'4", so you get a nice strike zone. He is 1 for 6 this year. The 1-0 pitch to John in for a strike. Reason he's 1 for 6. First of all, he had knee surgery and he missed 55 games. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Lannon looks at a curveball off the plate. So at least in the early going, Capuano is not nearly as sharp as he was in Yankee Stadium or in San Diego. The other reason why John doesn't have a lot of at-bats, he's averaging less than 5 innings per start. He swings, fouls it away, and the count stays 2-2. The other thing about him, it was a little bit of a surprise when Gonzalez hit a fly ball deep to center. He is the #1 ground ball pitcher in the National League. 2-2 the count. Lannon swings, hits it in the air to center. Coming up for it is Kemp, and it lands in front of him for a base hit. So it looks like it is going to be a very tough night for Chris Capuano as he gives up a fly ball singer to John Lannon. 5 hits and 3 runs, and we've just started the second inning. Michael Young started all the problem with a shot between the legs of Capuano into center. 2,307 hits for Michael Young. So the veteran Texas Ranger, now Phil, and the first pitch from Capuano, and that cuts in there for a strike, and the count 0-1. Dodgers had their way last night pretty much with Pettibone and Greinke going. Tonight Capuano and Lannon. The next pitch off speed, 1-1. The next 2 games for Philadelphia, they become formidable foes because you're going to have Cliff Lee tomorrow night and Kyle Kendrick on Sunday. Together they are 16-6 with an earned run average under 3. And together they are 20-12. So if the Dodgers are going to struggle against Lannon, they are really going to be in for a battle Saturday and Sunday. Lannon a short lead, doesn't figure to do any running. 1 ball and 1 strike. Capuano comes back way outside, ball 2, 2-1 the count. So Young now looking down to see Ryne Sandberg. Over at first, former Dodger Juan Samuel. 2 balls and 1 strike. Capuano delivers, hard ground ball to Ramirez. He feeds Ellis. He turns it to first, and the Dodgers get the double play that eluded them in the first inning. 6-4-3, 2 out, and the batter will be Chase Utley. Utley had been out, missed a lot of games with a strained oblique. Marvelous hitter. In fact, against Western Division, you put Utley and the catcher Carlos Ruiz together, and they have a combined batting average of .375. Hitting .200 against left and hitting over .300 right as Ruiz looks and Utley checks in. Capuano delivers, and the pitch to Chase is low. 1 ball and no strikes. Chase Utley will be 35 in December. He was a first-round pick by the Phillies way back in 2000. The 1-0 pitch on the way, he looks and pays the price, and a 1 ball, 1 strike count. He actually came up to the Phillies in 2003 and has been pretty much with them ever since. Remember Milton Bradley, who played for the Dodgers for a while? Well, he and Milton attended the same high school. He swings, fouls it away. Both players graduated from Long Beach Poly. And then what really frustrates the Dodgers, they drafted Utley back in 1997. We understand they offered him $1 million, but he turned it down to go to UCLA. All-American at UCLA. Now the 1-2 pitch on the way. Utley hits it in the air, and going back on it is Matt Kemp way back. It's going to short hop the wall, and Utley is into second base standing with a double. So they are all over Chris Capuano. That's 6 hits in 1 2/3 innings. Utley with a single and a double tonight. So as usual, he's given the Dodgers a very bad time. So he had a single, double, and home run last night, and a single and a double tonight. So Utley at second with 2 out, and Jimmy Rollins trying to pick him up. The first pitch to Rollins, who's batting right-handed, is low, ball 1. 1-0 to Jimmy. He has certainly been playing every day, about 600 games behind Mike Schmidt. He's already passed the famous Philly center fielder Richie Ashburn. Pitch inside. 2-0 the count to Jimmy Rollins. Phillies lead 3-0. They have a half a dozen hits already. Capuano out of his stretch, back with a fastball, and that's going to go into right field for a base hit. Up with it is Puig, and his throw is up the line, and down to second base goes Rollins. That's the first time, I think, that I've seen Puig make a bad throw, and I don't mean because it was up the line. It was a bad throw because it was so high it couldn't be cut off. Most of the time his throws have been like a trolley wire, but that one started very high. No way Adrian Gonzalez could cut it off, and that makes it a bad throw, and it allows Rollins to go to second base. So Jimmy, a base hit to right. Utley scores, and the Phillies now are widening it and lead 4-0 on 7 hits. And we're only in the second inning. So now the batter is Dominic Brown with Rollins at second base. Capuano ready, delivers a roller wide to first. Gonzalez overruns the ball, can't make a play. So Adrian Gonzalez overrunning that ground ball wide of the bag. For Adrian, that would be his 8th error. That's a lot of errors for a Gold Glove before the All-Star break. So Brown is aboard on the error. Rollins is now at third with 2 out, and the batter is Delmon Young, who has 5 straight hits in the series. Four runs, 7 hits. No error for Philadelphia. No runs, no hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. Here is Delmon. Singled and drove in a run in the first inning. Right-hand hitter, and the pitch a check swing, and that'll be in for a strike. 0-1. For Young, he not only has 5 straight hits in this series, he finished up in San Diego. His last at bat was a home run. So all of a sudden he has hit 6 straight. Capuano with runners at the corners, checking carefully. Now the left-hander deals, and the pitch low and inside at the shins. 1-1 the count. Dominic Brown, who has stolen 8 out of 9, held on by Adrian Gonzalez. Rollins down the line from third. And the 1-1 pitch from Chris Capuano. The left-hander set. Here he comes. Swung on, whacked into right center. So for Capuano, he just can't get anybody out. Rollins scores easily. Dominic Brown coming to the plate. He will score on a long double by Delmon Young. And this thing is now 6-0 in favor of Philadelphia. So 6 is pretty important. The Dodgers have 6, a 6-game winning streak, and the Phillies have 6, meaning runs. The Young, the Dodgers just can't get him out. 6-4-6. The Capuano really being pushed around. 6 runs on 8 hits. And we have just begun. The batter now is John Mayberry. Honeycutt is on the phone. Mayberry hit into a force play in the first inning. And the first pitch, low and away, ball 1. Well, it shows you it's the same man in the same game, but what a difference if you're off. Capuano had great control. He had 11 consecutive scoreless innings, and he's struggling to get outs. He's given up 6 runs in an inning and 2/3. The 1-0 pitch, and Mayberry takes low, ball 2. Peter Moylan from down under gets up on top in the Dodger bullpen. Couple of trays in the first and second inning. Mayberry now trying to pick up Delman Young. Capuano delivers outside, looked like a change, and he's 3-0. The Capuano just unable to put the ball where he wants to. Oh yes, he's given up 1 walk and he's on the edge of 2, but they are just hitting him wherever it comes. So Big John at the plate, and the 3-0 pitch, they might even let him swing away. Capuano ready, looks back at second. Mayberry taking all the way, and it's a strike, and the count 3-1. Then Revere on deck. Phillies came in with a team batting average of .251. They had scored 300 runs coming into this game. Dodgers right now have a batting average of .256. They've scored .283. Now the 3-1 pitch swung on, lifted to right field. Puig goes back, now comes in a couple of steps, makes the catch for the out. However, 3 more runs, and at the end of an inning and a half, 6-0 Philadelphia. National League. Arizona leading San Diego by 2.5. Colorado and the Giants 3.5. And for the moment, the Dodgers 5.5 back. Arizona had lost. So into the second inning, and it's Hanley Ramirez with a 9-game hitting streak and takes ball 1. Lannon with a very comfortable 6-0 lead. Comes back with a fastball and misses. 2-0 the count. Hanley Ramirez, who's been hitting the ball so hard, finally got into the game last night as a pinch hitter and was walked intentionally. He takes a strike, and the count 2-1. John Lannon is 0-2 against the league, but in his career pitching for Washington, he's beaten the Dodgers 4 straight. 2-1 pitch on the way. Hanley swings, fouls it away. In fact, Lannon has beaten the Dodgers 4 straight, and his lifetime record is 4-1. We told you a couple of things about him. He's averaging a little less than 5 innings. He is the #1 ground ball pitcher in the National League. Doesn't throw hard, so hitters make contact 80-some-odd% of the time. And they also rarely swing at his first pitch. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Hanley Ramirez. Swung on, lifted to right field. Very playable. Delmon Young right there, almost in his tracks, and makes the catch. 1 away.
Center fielder, number 27.
A reminder tomorrow, the Dodgers and Phillies at 7:10, and you can be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance, and you'll receive your own set of Dodger earbuds, compliments of T-Mobile. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotion. So 1 away, and here's Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp had a double and also put on a show in the 8th inning when he singled, stole second and third, and came home with a big run in the bottom of the 8th inning on the fly ball last night by A.J. Ellis. Matt, 2 home runs, 18 runs batted in. John Lannon delivers off speed, curveball down and dirty, and Kemp went after it. So 0-2 the count. Matt Kemp 3 for 15 against Lannon. 0-2 the count. Lannon looks over the fingertips of his glove. Back he comes in the dirt. 1-2 the count. Last night we were talking about Pettibone, how he gets roughed up in the first 25 pitches, and it really held a form. After 26 pitches, he breathed until they finally took him out. Lannon is hit hard after 25. Kemp, big swing, fouls it, and the count stays 1-2. After 25 pitches, the opposition hitting .329 against Lannon. And when the lineups come up for the second and the third time, if he's still in there, they hit .345 against him. 1-2 the count. Lannon ready, and the pitch to Matt Kemp. Fastball to move him off the plate. 2-2 the count. Right-hand hitters this year are hitting .338 against John Lannon. Left-handers, however, hitting about .160. The 2-2 pitch on the way, and Matt Kemp swings and skies it to right field, but Delmon Young is under it and puts it away. So the one interesting thing, Lannon comes in. He is the #1 ground ball pitcher. He's faced 5 batters, and he's given up 3 fly balls and 2 ground balls. And Andre Ethier coming up. Lannon is tough against left-handers, but Andre Ethier is hitting .400 against him, 4 for 10 with a home run. 2 out, second inning, and the Phillies sitting atop a 6-0 lead. Lannon ready, the left-hander delivers, and the first one inside, ball 1. Andre in and out of the box. Hitting back of him, Jerry Hairston. Lannon's 1-0 pitch on the way. Swung on, pulled foul outside of first down the line, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. One ball, 1 strike, 2 out, second inning. Phillies put up 3 in the first inning and came right back and put up another 3 in the second inning. And the 1-1 pitch to Ethier is swung on, high drive, pulled foul. It was fouled just as soon as it left the plate. Goes in the second level, and the count 1-2. Cliff Lee, 9-2, will be on the mound for Philadelphia tomorrow night. Hyun-Jin Ryu will go up against him. The 1-2 pitch on the way is low and away. 2-2 the count. Carlos Ruiz staying down on the last couple of pitches to Ethier. And Andre backs out for the moment. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Second inning, 6-0 Phil. Lannon ready, back he comes. Fastball grounded to the right side. Up with it easily to make the play is Utley. And the Dodgers roll over. That's 6 in a row retired by John Lannon. And at the end of 2, 6-0 Philadelphia. Those 2 left with Philadelphia tomorrow night, Sunday afternoon. The club hits the road, and a most important road trip. 3 in Colorado, 3 in San Francisco, 3 in Arizona, and then 4 more with Colorado before the All-Star break. So that's a chance, if possible, for the Dodgers to make a move. Meanwhile, the Phillies have been on the move. Ben Revere takes high. 1 ball and no strikes to the fleet-footed center fielder. Revere had really caught on since April. Ben, smallish left-hand batter. And the count now runs 2 balls and no strikes. He's 5'9", 170 out of Atlanta. Went to Lexington Catholic High School. And that was in Lexington, Kentucky. He's one of those fellas, they are adding up his at-bats without a home run. Pitch is swung on and fouled away. Like even on the Philadelphia notes, they talk about his number of at-bats. He started the year 1,172, and he's gone much more than that. But that's not his game. He's not here because of home runs. Swings, rolls one, foul up along third. Ben Revere, whose game is speed, was 3 for 5 last night, singled in the first inning. So the Phillies are fattening up at the expense last night of Greinke and Capuano tonight. Revere had a baseball scholarship to the University of Georgia. Now the 2-2 pitch on the way, swung on and foul tipped, and down he goes. So Revere strikes out. That would be the second strikeout for Revere. And the other man who struck out, Carlos Ruiz, coming up.
Catcher, Carlos Ruiz.
The All-Star game coming around the corner. The All-Star game on July 16th at City Park in New York, the home of the Mets. Ruiz 0 for 1. Right-hand hitting catcher. Carlos swings, 2-hopper down to Ramirez. Hanley straightens up and throws him out. So 2 down. Capuano now has retired 3 in a row, and although that might be an encouraging sign for him, it's a little late, down 6-0. However, as we say, so far for John Lannon this year, the second and third time around if he's still in the game. The opposition wakes up offensively. We'll see if that happens with the Dodgers. The left-hand hitting Lannon, who singled in the second inning. John takes ball one. 1-0, and his only career home run. He hit it 2 years ago. Hiroki Kuroda. So Lannon not a bad hitter. Cappy at the set, turns. Now the left-hander ready and delivers, and the pitch at the knees for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dodgers will have Hairston, Fedorovich, and Capuano when they come up in the third. The Giants are in Colorado. Here's the 1-1 pitch, and Lannon looks at a strike. The Rockies lead the Giants in the 8th inning 4-0. Elise Chacin has a 3-hitter. Michael Kadire homered against Barry Zito. So Kadire now has a hitting streak of 25 in a row. The 1-2 pitch on the way is taken for strike 3 called, and that's the inning. Third strikeout for Capuano. Is just a question of whether it's too late or not. The Braves beat the Diamondbacks 3-0, so there's a big opportunity, but it's 6-0 Phils.
Succeed here at home.
Phillies lead the Dodgers 6-0, bottom of the third. Don't forget, Sunday, Dodgers and Phils, Kyle Kendrick and Stephen Fife. The first 15,000 ticketed kids 14 and under in attendance take home a Hidge Performance shirt, compliments of Coca-Cola. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotion. Bottom of the third, 6-0 Philadelphia. Jerry Hairston, who wears number 6 on his back, checking in. Lannon has made 29 pitches in his first 2 innings. And the left-hander reading Ruiz, and we're about ready to get underway. Fedorovich on deck, and the first pitch in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Jerry Hairston giving Uribe a time to rest. Hairston, right-hand hitter, takes off the plate and low. 1 ball and 1 strike. If you joined us late, Philadelphia made a mirror image of the first 2 innings. 3 runs and 4 hits in the first inning. 3 runs and 4 hits in the second inning. So they lead 6-0, and we're in the third. 2-1 now, the count to Jerry Hairston. Delman Young has just been, as they say, unconscious. Single and a double. 6 straight hits in the series. Hairston swings, fouls it away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And, of course, don't forget Delmon Young's home run in San Diego. So he's actually has a streak now of 7 straight at-bats coming up with a hit. 2-2 pitch on the way. Hairston grounds it foul outside of third down the line. Capuano laboring. Finally had an easy inning, but he's made 64 pitches in the first 3 innings. Two balls and 2 strikes to Jerry Hairston. Here comes the left-hander, and it's a shot over the mound behind second. Utley throws too late on a head-first dive by Jerry Hairston. So Chase Utley did everything to go behind the bag. Hairston takes a page out of Nick Punto's book and goes into the bag head first. Good play, as usual, by Chase Utley. So an infield single on a high chopper over the mound. Hairston had it easily. C.B. Buckner, the first base umpire, able to call it easily as well. So the batter now, Tim Fedorovich, with Hairston coming up with the Dodgers' first hit. Lannon looking over at Hairston, who has a very short lead with the club down 6-0. Fedorovich takes a strike, and the count to Tim 0-1. Fedorovich facing Lannon. John reading signs flashed out. Fedorovich has never faced him before, and vice versa. Strike one pitch on the way, and that swung on and missed. It was up and away. Fedorovich after it, and the count 0-2. Fedorovich looks down to Wallach. Hairston at first, nobody out, bottom of the third, 6-0 Philadelphia. Lannon delivers, swung on and missed. Looked like a sinker. Down goes Fedorovich, and we have one away. That would be the first strikeout for John Lannon. And now Chris Capuano coming up. Capuano is 0 for 7. On deck, Mark Ellis. It would not shock anybody if Capuano was asked to bunt. He doesn't have a hit, and he has 3 sacrifices. Left-hander against left-hander. He's looking and takes ball 1. On deck, Mark Ellis. Dodgers have to start somewhere if they're going to have a comeback down 6-0. So Capuano double checking with Wallach. 1 out in the third. Now he shows bunt. Lannon delivers. The bunt is down. The bunt's on the chalk. The bunt goes foul. So Capuano back to try it again. 1 ball and 1 strike. Hairston having a little fun with the shortstop, Jimmy Rollins. Capuano on one knee, trying to get the bunt down, and it's spun off foul. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. The 1-1 pitch on the way, throw to first. Hairston right on the bag. Trying to take a step away from him, which might pay off at second base. So it figures the bunt is still on. Capuano shows bunt, then pulls the bat back. And the 1-1 pitch on the way, he's swinging or looking, and he takes ball 2. So Lannon, pitching very carefully, is 2-1 to Capuano. Lannon has given up 2 fly balls in the second inning, 1 in the first inning. Ground ball slowly to first. That's as good as a bunt. Mayberry takes it to the bag, and down to second base goes Hairston. So 2 out. Hairston at second, and Mark Ellis trying to pick him up. Mark Ellis, 4 home runs, 20 runs batted in, grounded out to Mayberry in the first inning. Mark Ellis didn't play yesterday. Tuesday, you may remember, he had that 2-run home run. Skip Schumacher resting tonight along with Nick Punto as they sit alongside Clayton Kershaw. Now with 2 out, Ellis has a look at a breaking ball at his ankles. 1 ball and no strikes. Ellis 0 for 1 tonight. So he is 2 for 8, hitting .250 against Lannan. John out of a stretch, a look back at second, and the 1-0 pitch is swung on and fouled back. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. For the Dodgers against left-hand starters, and they certainly see enough of it. They are 11-6 against left-hand starters at home. On the road, forget it. On the road against left-handers, the Dodgers are 2-10. Now the 1-1 pitch coming up. Lannan ready, looks at Hairston. Fastball, that's in for a strike to Ellis. At 89 came the pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. On deck, Yasiel Puig, and of course the crowd would love Ellis to get aboard, so Puig would be coming up. However, Lannan is trying to do just the opposite and make sure Ellis makes the last out. Outfield straight away. And the 1-2 pitch is swung on, hit in the air to left field. Brown is there, Dominic gloves it, and that's it. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. And at the end of 3, the Phillies 6 and the Dodgers nothing. And time now for our Twitter poll. What do you think is the most competitive division in the National League? Tweet hashtag NL West, Central, or East, and we'll give the results during the game. I know one thing, they figured it out the other day. For instance, if the Dodgers were in the National League Central Division, they would be 12.5 games back. That'll give you some indication. They are 6 back right now, and with Arizona losing, they're 5.5 back. Fouled away. The leadoff man, Michael Young, singled and hit into a double play. Young has a home run at Dodger Stadium when he played here for Texas. And he hits another one to left. Back goes Ethier, and this one is well back. So for Capuano, he's just going to take the licks tonight. And it is 7-0 Philadelphia. For Chris Capuano, That would be the 7th home run that he's allowed. For Michael Young, that would be his 5th. And as we said, it's now his 2nd home run in his career at Dodger Stadium. So right now it's a non-game. I mean, it's all Philadelphia. 7 runs, 9 hits. The Dodgers have barely a murmur of protest. 1 hit. Capuano working on Chase Utley, who has a single and a double. Capuano ready. The veteran left-hander's fastball is popped up. Hanley Ramirez charging and makes the play as Hairston bailed out. So Utley pops it up, 1 away, and the batter will be Jimmy Rollins. By the way, we were talking earlier about Delmon Young, who not only has 6 straight hits in this series, but had a home run his last at bat in San Diego. So Delmon Young has had 7 consecutive hits. In case you're wondering, the major league record for consecutive hits, 12, held by 3 men. You go way back to Johnny Kling with the Cubs in 1902, move up to 1938, Pinky Higgins with the Red Sox, and then big Walt Dropo with the Tigers of 1952. 12. So we'll see about Delmon Young in a little while. 1 ball and no strikes the count. Line drive base hit. So Rollins is 2 for 2 with a walk, and they are just ripping Capuano. And there comes a time where a pitcher has to stay in there. You don't want to burn up your bullpen in what appears to be a hopeless game. So 6 runs, 10 hits, and we're only in the 4th inning. So for Capuano, as much as he hates the thought of it, he's almost pitching batting practice. And here is Dominic Brown, hit into a force play and reached on the error by Gonzalez. Capuano got the corner, 0-1. No balls, 1 strike. Slow breaking ball, and that's in there. 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. The top 3 men in the lineup have 6 hits amongst them. 2 for Michael Young, 2 for Utley, 2 for Rollins, but not for Brown. He's caught looking and walks back. He's 0 for 3. That would be the 4th strikeout for Capuano, and also I think his last batter. The Capuano, who made 64 pitches in the first 3 innings, and remember, he's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. He came off and went on the DL with a calf sprain. Pitched very well his next 2 outings, and he gets hammered tonight. Peter Moylan coming in, and we'll be back.
Attention, please. Now coming on pitch.
from MLB.com. It includes all 24 Home Run Derby competitors from 2010, 11, and 12, available on iPhone and iPad. So download MLB.com's Home Run Derby game for free today. Capuano, a nightmare of a game as he talks to Don Mattingly. 3 2/3, 10 hits, 7 runs, 5 earned after 11 scoreless innings in his previous 2. And here is Mr. Young. Delman has now hit safely in 7 straight, and he's facing Peter Moylan. Capuano allowed 10 runs, 7 hits, but you can't close the book yet. Rollins at first, his responsibility, and Young hits a fly ball to center. This one is catchable, and at the other end is Matt Kemp. So they finally get Delman Young. Phillies wind up 1 run, 2 hits, lead 1, and at the end of 3.5, 7-0 Philadelphia. Dodger Baseball on Prime Ticket is brought to you by your Southern California Kia retailers. Visit mysocalkia.com. By AT&T, rethink possible. And by El Pollo Loco, crazy you can taste. Sunset time, and for the Dodgers, you have to think the sun is setting on their 6-game winning streak, but we'll remain to see. Bottom of the 4th. It'll be Puig, Gonzalez, and Ramirez against John Lannon. And this is the 2nd time around. That's the word on Lannon, so we'll see if it holds up. One ball and no strikes. And that's hit in the air to right field and deep. On the run is Delman Young. He has to play it off the wall. And holding on is Puig with a single. So a line drive single to right by Yasiel Puig. The amazing young player now has 39 hits in 23 games plus 4 innings. Got a fastball up and away, drove it over the head of Young off the bottom of the wall. Puig never thinks of stopping until he realizes no play. So Yasiel at first. Here's Adrian Gonzalez. You can bet Philadelphia is very aware of what happens to Lannon. That's a strike. We'll repeat again. After 25 pitches, and he's now made 49, the batting average jumps to .329. And then the 2nd and 3rd time around, the lineup hits .345. 0-2 the count. Adrian fly to center, committed an error. Capuano made 72 pitches, went 3 2/3 innings. Gave up 7 runs, 10 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. 0-2 the count. On the hands, a little roller to Utley. They're going to get 1. They will get 2. So Gonzalez, a ground ball. Utley and Rollins together yet again. Utley and Rollins, come to think of it, like a very successful dance team. They have been together a long time. In fact, the only double play combination been together longer than Utley and Rollins would be Robinson Cano and Derek Jeter. They have started 1,004 games together. So they know every move each other makes. Ramirez, big swing, comes up empty, 0-1. Of course, you remember Davey Lopes and Bill Russell for 8.5 years. They were the Dodgers' double play combination. 7-0 Philadelphia. There's Davey. Those were the days, huh? 8.5 years together. 1 ball and 1 strike. Hanley fly to right field in the 2nd inning. There's that 9-game hitting streak on the line. 1 ball and 1 strike. Colorado leading the Giants 4-1. Little ground ball to short. Rollins up with it. Makes the play. So even though Puig got a base hit, Gonzalez hits into a double play. Ramirez grounds to short. And at the end of 4, 7-0 Philadelphia. But it's only a murmur of protest. Last night, Puig hit the wall and, as usual, running as hard as he can. Remind you of Bryce Harper. He was looking at the ball, so he didn't hit it head first until he turned. But he gave it a tremendous jolt. But he's okay. But, you know, he's now hit the wall twice. Once on a home run, once on a double. One of the greatest players almost in Dodger history was an outfielder named Pete Reiser. He was a switch hitter. He had power and speed from both sides of the plate. He was a 5-tool player, but he was accident prone, as the insurance company actuary tables would tell you. But Reiser crashed into the center field wall, fractured his skull. He was beamed. He once stepped on first base taking a lead and broke his ankle. So he was aggressive, but he paid the price. So we're hoping that Puig will learn to temper his aggressiveness, especially going into that wall. I mean, it's not like he's going to be here for 3 games. The home park, he's got to learn and learn right away. 1-2 the count to John Mayberry. Chip off the old block. His dad was a fine player. Seven runs, 10 hits for Philadelphia. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. It's hit off the end of the bat. A lot of English on it. Mark Ellis makes the play. 1 away. The batter will be Ben Revere.
Heading up center fielder, Ben Revere.
So Peter Moylan trying to restore order after Philadelphia just ran all over Chris Capuano. They had 6 hits and 8 hits in 2 innings. Revere single to left and struck out. His base hit drove in a run, hitting .280. Fastball low. Dodgers will have Kemp, Ethier, and Hairston in the bottom of the 5th. 2-0. Matt Kemp tonight flied to right. Andre Ethier grounded to second, and Hairston had an infield single up the middle. 3-0 the count to Ben Revere. Listen, my children, and you shall hear the midnight story of Ben Revere, or something like that. 3-0. In there, 3-1. Carlos Ruiz, the catcher, on deck. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Cliff Lee and Hyun-Jin Ryu. Great matchup. Sunday, Kyle Kendrick and Stephen Fife. Another one. High fly ball, easy for Kemp. You notice what Kemp did on that fly ball. Puig now is 50 feet away from him. But as soon as the ball went up, Kemp said, "I've got it." They are all thinking about that near collision when Puig went flying by Andre Ethier in San Diego. Watch Kemp on the fly ball. Right there. I got it. I got it. Don't come near me. Puig says, "Okay." And he runs behind him. Yeah, you're playing with a wild horse of the Osage out there in right field. So 2 down. Here's Carlos Ruiz. Struck out, grounded out. Strike. Yes, we have seen more than enough outfield collision. Another strike. 0-2. The other collision is the infielder going out and the outfielder coming in. That's another nightmare. Slice down the right field line. Puig, I don't think, can catch it. And by leaving his feet, that's an extra base hit for Ruiz. He's into second, standing with a double. So the all-out try by Puig. Not a bad idea, especially with the pitcher coming up. So Ruiz just goes the other way and slices it away. Puig up and at him. He's really fun to watch. He really didn't have a chance. Lannon, ball 1. All out every play. 1 ball and no strikes. That's on the corner. 2 out, 5th inning. Ruiz at second. Philadelphia 7-11. Two and 1 to count. Capuano lasted 3 2/3 innings tonight. Remember, he pitched with 3 days rest. Gave it a great shot. That might have affected him tonight. 2-1. Fouled away. The modern day starting pitcher is a lot like, well, like a quarter horse. He's trained to go just so far. There are milers, but they rarely, if ever, finish. 2-2. And that's slapped into left field. Another base hit for Lannon. Here comes Ruiz. The throw by Ethier. Not in time. Lannon to second, and they nail him. But the run is in, and the Phillies just keep fattening up. They now have a dozen hits, and at the end, 4.5 lead the Dodgers by the nose, 8-0. Phillies lead 8-0. A reminder, spend your summer at the ballpark with the Dodgers 10-game summer plan. You have great matchup with teams like, the Giants, the Red Sox, Cubs, and Yankees. For more information, visit Dodgers.com/mini-plans or give us a call, 323-DODGERS. Matt Kemp will start it off, then Andre Ethier and Jerry Hairston. Peter Moylan has made 19 pitches. He made 17 in the 5th inning. The Phillies, who show they are a very good hitting team, and certainly one thing that jumps up at you, 4 of the Phillies' 5 hits with runners in scoring position have scored runs with 2 out. So they've done everything right. Lannon, meanwhile, is 2 for 3. So John working on Matt Kemp, 0 for 1, fly to right. Has been eating up left-handers throughout his career. Kemp, Ethier, Hairston, 8 runs, 12 hits for the Phils. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. And Kemp lifts a towering fly ball to left. Dominic Brown on the track at the wall and makes the catch. So Matt just misses hitting it out. Long fly ball to left. 1 down.
Number 16,
for John Lannon, who is basically a ground ball pitcher. In his 5 games, he's given up just 1 home run. Now Andre Ethier, who grounded out. We told you about John Lannon. He's from Long Island in New York. Grew up a Yankee fan. As he said, I love Don Mattingly. Well, he's trying to put it to Mattingly tonight. leading 8-0. Off the plate, ball one. Ethier has been so valuable in moving around and has done a remarkable job in all three outfield spots. It's one thing to be a corner outfielder. I think since he is basically a right fielder, he will learn quickly about left field. But boy, he did a great job in center field when Kemp was down. 2-0. In there. A little soft 88-mile-an-hour fastball. So Kemp slowly building his way back. Talking about building his way back, Carl Crawford might be joining the Dodgers soon on the road trip. Almost hit him. Don Mattingly said a decision has been made. Crawford is going out Sunday to Rancho. Ted Lilly will pitch there too. We're thinking Crawford 3 to 5 games, maybe DH twice, and then he's ready. That's a strike. 3-2 the count to Ethier. So Ted Lilly will try to find the magic, the same game that Crawford will play. 3-2. This is the 79th game. Hit the bat, still 3-2. So the Dodgers will have their 80th game tomorrow. And then Sunday will be 81, and that's half the year. That's a nasty pitch. It got almost everybody. 3-2. Still 3-2. Tomorrow night, Cliff Lee, Hyun-Jin Ryu. That ought to be a dandy. Cliff Lee, a wonderful pitcher. He is 9-2, an ERA of 2.5. Remember, we were talking about Patrick Corbin a while ago. That's going to be a base hit up the middle. Patrick Corbin 9-0, and we all talked about, wow, 9-0 trying to win his 10th. Well, we have a 12-0 pitcher in the big leagues. Former Diamondback Max Scherzer, now of the Tigers, just beat Tampa Bay. He is 12-0. In fact, Max Scherzer is 3 short of the record for best undefeated start to a season by a starting pitcher. Dave McNally of Baltimore went 15-0 in 1969, and Johnny Allen of Cleveland went 15-0. In 1937, Allen was traded by Brooklyn with Dolph Camilli to the Giants. So Ethier at first with a base hit. Hairston up there. He had the infield single in the 3rd inning. And lifts a fly ball to right. Delman Young right there. So 2 out. Ethier holding. Tim Fedorovich struck out in the 3rd inning. A.J. Ellis, the main receiver. So that makes it tough on the other catcher, whoever it is, to play occasionally. And that's a strike. Juan Uribe now coming out on deck. If given a chance, he would bat for Moylan. Matt Guerrier throwing in the pen. 0-1. Oh, 2. This might be the kind of a game. You know, they're trying to put the pieces together for Brandon Lee. So this might be the kind of a game that eventually Don Mattingly will get League in there just to get wet. They're buried right now, 8-0. 0-2. Ball 1. 8 runs, 12 hits for the Phillies. They have 1 home run, Michael Young. Dodgers, no runs, 3 singles. That sliced foul down the line, out of play. Fedorovich, who struck out in the 3rd inning. On deck, Juan Uribe. John Lannon, 0-2, but remember, he came here with a 4-game winning streak against the Dodgers. Oh, is that a pop fly? Wow. Utley waiting for it to come down out of the night. Has to be a little stardust on that thing. A hit and nothing else. 8-0 Philadelphia. And the Dodgers were no-hitted, and they won. Jared Weaver pitching for the Angels, and in the 5th inning, Matt Kemp topped the ball up along first. Weaver overran it for an error. Matt then stole second, went to third when the catcher, Jeff Mathis, threw the ball into center field. And a fly ball by Blake DeWitt picked Kemp home, and he won 1-0, the game going 8.5 innings. I don't imagine Jared Weaver will ever forget it, and let's go back to this one. Here come the Phillies, leading 8-0. And Moylan starts off with a strike. Michael Young, Chase Utley, and then Jimmy Rollins. Fastball, and that's probably banged into center. That's 13 hits. Phillies had 14 hits last night. So, I mean, they're really coming alive. I guess if you're going to have a streak of any kind, 5, 6, 7, and have it broken, it's a lot better to have it broken in a one-sided game. It's easily forgotten. If you had a 6-game winning streak and you lose in the last inning on a bloop play or something, that's a little tough. But the Dodgers, no doubt, write this off and try to start another one. So here's Utley, single and a double. Last night, Chase had a single, double, and a home run. So the Phillies are fattening up, and they're not eating scrapple. Zach Greinke was certainly off his feed last night. He went 7 innings, allowed 4 runs, 12 hits. That's a strike. Utley followed by Rollins. They have 7 hits amongst the top 3 hitters. Young has 3. Utley has 2 for the moment. Rollins has 2. 2-1. Chase Utley. Boy, what a solid ball player he is. In 2007, Utley signed a 7-year contract. He is locked in for at least next year. Very simple and direct swing. Nothing fancy about it. But look at those numbers. 29 home runs, 100 runs knocked in, 111 scored. And ball 4. So now Moylan is in a spotted jam. Base hit and a walk. And here's Rollins. Jimmy Rollins walked, single to right, single to left. Jimmy's average now up to 262. 4 home runs, 27 runs batted in. Nobody out. And ball 1, smothered by Fedorovich. Rollins, you think of as stolen base, line drive hitter, but in his career he's homered 6 times against the Dodgers. That's a strike. 1-1. He has 3 home runs here at Dodger Stadium in his career. And he has Michael Young at second, Chase Utley at first. Nobody out. 1-1. Off speed, just missed. 2-1 the count. So Capuano went 3 2/3, and it just wasn't his night. 3 in the first, 3 in the second. And then for good measure, he gave up 1 more on the home run by Young in the 4th. 2-1 to Rollins. Fastball is low. On deck, Dominic Brown. Downtown Brown. 21 home runs. Three and 1 to Jimmy Rollins. And a drive to right. Puig on his horse. He's there. Makes the catch. Tagging up just to draw the throw, and that's about all. Was Michael Young. He was not about to try and move over. So Rollins fly ball to right. 1 out, runners hold, and the batter Dominic Brown. Dominic Brown hit into a force play, reached on an error by Adrian Gonzalez, and struck out. So he and Mayberry are on the outside looking in. Everybody else has at least 1 hit. And that's going to be spanked into right field. Puig charges, plays it on a hop. Here comes Young. Here's the throw. He is safe. Just did get around Fedorovich. Good throw by Puig, but not good enough. He's frustrated enough to eat his glove. So Brown, line drive single. Michael Young just does make it in. He scored 3 times in the leadoff role. And the Phillies now pounding the Dodgers. 9 runs, 14 hits. Fedorovich up. Had he been back on the plate, he might have had a play. But going up there, Utley and Michael Young just ran around him and then got the hand on the plate. That's the way they've been sliding. A lot of times, of course, the score too. At the time you're coming home to be 9-0, there's no reason to crash into the catcher anyway. But a lot of times today, they're avoiding the catcher by doing just what he did. Slide away behind the catcher and then drag the hand, the left hand, across the plate. So it is 9-0 in favor of the Phils. Little roller to short. Ramirez makes the play for 1, but that's all. And another run comes in. and the Phillies now lead 10-0. Did you say not much of a game? Young has scored 3 times, and he has 3 hits. Utley has scored 3 times. He has 2 hits and a walk. Boy, they are top heavy. John Mayberry hit into a force play, fly to right, grounded to second. 10-0 Philadelphia. Mayberry hit into a force play, fly to right, grounded out, 0 for 3. So Friday night is supposed to be fireworks night, but it's supposed to be after the game. 10-0 Philadelphia. 0-1. Just off the plate. So Peter Moylan picking up for Capuano. They'll be hitting for him in the 6th inning. Guerrier down in the pen will probably pick up. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ball 2. 2-1. If you joined us late, the game really was about over at the end of 2 innings. Phillies got 3 in the first, 3 in the second. They failed to score in the 3rd. Rather remarkable. But they've had 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, and 2 more, and hold your hat. A long fly ball to left. Ethier to the scoreboard, watching it go out. So Mayberry hits a 2-run home run. It is now 12-0 in favor of Philadelphia. I guess maybe you get to a game like this and you're fascinated with only one thought. I wonder how many runs they will score. I mean, that's really the fascination. 12-0 Philadelphia. So if you're going to lose and you're going to have a 6-game winning streak come to an end, why not? Meanwhile, Don Mattingly coming out to talk to the plate umpire. For Mayberry, his 6th home run. He has 21 runs batted in. So it'll be a double switch at least. And we'll find out who else will be coming in. We certainly know Moylan is coming out, and while you think about that, we'll be back. I don't know about you. To nothing Philadelphia. Tomorrow, baseball night in America returns. The Yankees face the Orioles. Baseball night in America begins tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific. Ben Revere will be coming up. Nick Punto will come into play 3rd. Nick will bat 9th, and you can put Guerrier in Hairston's spot. So Matt has to mop up. Revere is 1 for 3. So with Brown getting a base hit and Mayberry hitting a home run, everyone in the starting lineup for Philadelphia has at least one hit. John Lannon, the pitcher, has two. Ground ball to Adrian. He'll take it to the bag. And that'll be that. However, the Phillies wind up with 4 more. And at the end at 5.5, lead the Dodgers 12-0. A look at what's been going on in the West, and it is a bad night for the Dodgers. They really missed some opportunities because Atlanta beat Arizona 3-0. San Diego beats Miami. Colorado knocks off the Giants. So the Dodgers began the night 2 games behind the Giants and Colorado, and they will lose a game to Colorado. Meanwhile, Arizona loses but remains atop the heap, 3.5 in front of San Diego. Bottom of the 6th inning, Nick Punto, followed by Mark Ellis, and then Yasiel Puig. Nick Punto hitting .264. Interestingly enough, began his career back in 2001 with the Philadelphia Phillies. He was originally drafted by the Phillies out of Saddleback Junior College. He was in the 21st round, and he played 4 games for the Phils in 2001. But he was all with them again in 2 and 3, and then in 2004 he went to the Twins. Little roller, that's foul. 3-2 the count. Punto has done some pretty good offensive work from the right side. As you know, he's a pinch hitter. He's hitting .333 from this side. His 1 home run was hit left-handed. 3-2. High chopper, tricky hop, but at least stays with it. So Punto taps out, 1 away. We're in the 6th. Philadelphia leading 12-0. John Lannon, the young man from Long Island, New York, went to Siena College, and it has been a breeze for him tonight. That's in for a strike. 0-1. Mark Ellis grounded out, flied out, 0 for 2. When you ask Lannon about the big influence in his life. He said, certainly it's my dad, especially in baseball. He's been his coach since he was 6 years old. Fastball hit the third. Waiting for it is Young. Two out in the sixth. Yasiel Puig coming up. Grounded out single to right.
66, Yasiel Puig.
So Yasiel Puig checking in, hitting .429. And a line drive single over the head of Delmon Young. Hit the base of the right field wall. Puig has 39 hits, and he's in his 24th game. 0-1. We'll mention again Del Ennis, who was with the Phils. He was an all-star after 61 games. Joe DiMaggio was an all-star after 57 games. Frankie Zach, during the war with the Pirates, made the all-star team when he was after 44 games. Scott Van Slyke, who has just joined the club, is out on deck. He'll hit for Gonzalez and then stay in the game, I would believe. 3-1 the count to Puig. Puig has walked only 3 times. Yeah, this will be the 4th. First walk given up by Lannon. He's only allowed 3 hits. So here's Scott Van Slyke batting for Adrian Gonzalez, and then he'll finish up at first base. On deck, Hanley Ramirez. And ball 1 to Scott. Van Slyke, who started off with Albuquerque, came to the Dodgers, did pretty well, then had to go on the DL. He has 6 home runs, 11 runs batted in, and he fouled that right into the Philadelphia dugout. 1-1. Scott has been in 24 games. As a pinch hitter, he's 0 for 4. Big fella, 6'5", 220, out of Missouri. His father, of course, a great outfielder for the St. Louis Cardinals. 2-1. And fouled away again. 2-2. Lannon, and you lose sight of it because the Phillies 12 runs, 15 hits. But John is pitching a very nice game. Maybe giving up a lot more fly balls tonight than he normally does. As we told you, coming into this game, he was the #1 ground ball pitcher in the league. He's had 7 outs so far. Balls hit in the air. 3-2. Lannon had made 70 pitches. He's now got his pitch count up to 89. And as we said, that's a lot of work for him. He's averaged a little bit less than 5 innings. So Puig at first and on holding. He really has nowhere to go. 3-2. He trots off on a drive in the gap, and there is nobody there. And so Puig will carry in the run on a long double by Scott Van Slyke, and it's only 12-1 Philadelphia. So Scott Van Slyke, welcome back. 6 home runs, 12 runs batted in. Van Slyke has 6 doubles to go with his 6 home runs. There was nobody there. because Dominic Brown was way over, playing him straight away in left. Revere was straight away in center. And there were wide open spaces out there, and Brown is nodding. I mean, no one there. Isn't that amazing? So, okay, a double by Van Slyke, picks up Puig, and here's Hanley Ramirez, and he pokes it into right field. That's a base hit. They're going to send in Van Slyke. Close play at the plate. He is out at the plate. That is a bad call when you are down 12-1 to have the third out at home plate. No, thank you. And a great throw by Delman Young. And at the end of 6, 12-1 Philadelphia. Dodger Baseball on Prime Ticket is brought to you by CarMax. Start the search for your next car at CarMax. By Time Warner. Enjoy all the things you love better. 1-855-1-TWC. And by Farmer Boys. Get an award-winning Farmer's Burger topped with farm fresh veggies, cheese, bacon, and avocado. The game summary, well, it's been a shipwreck. The Phillies piling more than 10 runs for the first time this year. Chris Capuano, who had been brilliant his last 2 outs, but the sky fell on him tonight. And the Phillies are having a huge series offensively. And yet, winning tonight, they will have split the first 2 games. Carlos Ruiz struck out, grounded out, double to right. 1-1. So Ruiz, then Lannon, and then Michael Young. Cliff Lee tomorrow night, 9-2 against Hyun-Jin Ryu. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kyle Kendrick and Stephen Fife on Sunday. Scott Van Slyke, who doubled and then was waved in and thrown out at the plate, takes over at first for Adrian Gonzalez. Pop fly, back of first, down the line. Van Slyke trying to get under it and does. Nice play by Scotty. Still trying to catch his breath. Trying to score on that base hit by Hanley Ramirez. And by the way, Ramirez base hit, if nothing else, extends his hitting streak to 10. Here's John Lannon. Nice play by Scott Van Slyke. Lannon is 2 for 3. Single to center, single to left, and struck out. And a strike. 0-1. One ball and 1 strike. When the Dodgers come up, in the bottom of the 7th inning. It'll be Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, and then Matt Guerrier's spot. Two and one. Dodgers still have in the dugout Skip Schumacher, Juan Uribe, and then of course the catcher A.J. Ellis, and he's always the last one to go in. Look at John Lannon with 2 singles. He now lines his 3rd hit into right field. So Lannon 3 for 4. And Michael Young coming up. So Guerrier gives up a base hit. That's 16 hits for Philadelphia. For Lannon, the pitcher, you can well understand that's his first career 3-hit game. Most runs that the Phillies have scored this year, 9. And tonight they have 12. Most hits in a game, they had 16 hits in Minnesota. And they have 16 hits tonight. So for Charlie Manuel, he can make notes. They're on a tear this evening. A line drive base hit into center field. Lannon will stop at second. So for Michael Young, he now comes up with his 4th hit. Boy, it is the destruction derby here. And we're only in the 7th inning. 12 runs, 17 hits for Philadelphia. Kevin Frandsen, who started the game last night at 3rd base and went 1 for 3. Frandsen coming up. Don Mattingly deep in thought about other things. Pretty hard to concentrate on the game. So Frandsen batting for Utley. Chase Utley had a single, double, and a walk. Scored 3 times. And ball 1. Frandsen for a long time was with the Giants. John McDonald, a veteran infielder, just came to Philadelphia from Cleveland, and McDonald is on deck to bat for Jimmy Rollins. Big bouncer to the hole. Hanley goes back and they get 1. Throw to first, not in time. So Frandsen hits into a 6-4 force play. Lannon moves over to 3rd.
Attention, please. For the Phillies, pinch hitting number 4.
Now the batter is John McDonald. Dodgers know all about McDonald. I mean, he's been around. He played against them most recently with the Diamondbacks and then the Pirates. Came from the Indians. John will be 39 the end of September. He was originally signed by the Indians in 1996 out of Providence College. Ball 1. He's from New London, Connecticut, and now lives in Situate in Massachusetts. Play anywhere on the infield, 2nd, 3rd, short. One and one to Johnny Mack, as they call him. Frandsen at first, Lannon at 3rd. 12-1 in favor of the Phils. And a hard ground ball. Great stop by Punto. Gets up. However, the throw is offline. And a run will score as if Philadelphia needs it. It is 13-1 Philadelphia. A great effort by Punto. And I'm sure that'll go as a base hit. So Johnny Mack loses a double, because that's really what it might have been, except for the great effort by Punto. So base hit to 3rd. Johnny Mack joins his new club and gets a base hit and a run batted in. So now Franson at second, McDonald at first, and Dominic Brown at the plate. We'll look up and see the biggest Dodger beating so far. That's to the backstop, 0-1. Team batting. Most runs for the Dodgers, 9. No balls and 1 strike. Little low, 1-1. Dodger sheet lists all of what they have done, but at a glance we're not able to find what the opposition has done against them. Fedorovich, another nice block. 2-1 to count. Most runs allowed, 12. So this is the worst game for the Dodgers this year. They had allowed 12 against Colorado, and they've given up 13 so far. We're in the 7th inning. 3-1. So Guerrero now is 1 pitch away from loading them up. And Delmon Young is on deck. Three and 1 to Dominic Brown. 3-2. So with a full count and 2 down, the runners will be going. When the Dodgers bat in the bottom of the 7th, Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, and then Guerrero's spot. 3-2, and they're ready. There they go, and it's very high. So Brown walks, and the bases are loaded. So Franson, McDonald, and Brown are out there, and here comes Delmon Young. Young single and double tonight. Altogether, he had a 7-hit streak. Then he flied to center, hit into a force play. So 2 for 4 tonight. Young hitting .256, and he can really tear it again, and a couple of ribbies here. And he's going to get it. Base hit to center. That will score 2. It is 15-1 in favor of Philadelphia, and unfortunately, there is no mercy rule in the big leagues. 15-1. So Delmon Young comes up with his 3rd hit, and 2 more runs batted in. Boy, it's been a while since the Dodgers have been whacked as they've been hit tonight. So Brown at second, Young at first, and here's John Mayberry. 15 runs on 19 hits for Philadelphia. Mayberry hit into a force play, flied to right, grounded out, and then hit a 2-run home run. Mayberry waiting on that strike 1 pitch. That's a breaking ball strike. The Phillies have already scored more runs this year against the Dodgers with 15. The most hits in a game allowed, 20 hits by Arizona. Well, Phillies have 19, and they have 2 1/3 innings to go. 0-2. Ball 1. Delmon Young over there at first base has had 2 singles and a double, and 6 runs batted in. That is a career high. Boy, he has come home to roost, and the Phillies have come here to roast. Utley now out resting. Little ground foul. 1-2. Phillies enjoying every moment of it. And of course, Cliff Lee is probably saying, can I put a few runs in escrow for tomorrow? I mean, who needs 15 runs? 1-2. Whoa. 2-2. Guerrero has made 29 pitches. Lee sitting quietly in the dugout, waiting to try and win his 10th tomorrow against Hyun-Jin Ryu. 2-2. Curveball foul back. So the deuces are not wild. The game is wild. Philadelphia 15 runs, the number worn by John Mayberry, 19 hits, and the Dodgers a whimper. 1 run, 5 hits, 1 error. For the Dodgers, a thoroughly forgettable game, a mere exercise, if you will. 2-2. So 3-2, and the runners will be going, or will they be walking? No hurry. At second base, you have Dominic Brown. At first, Delman Young. 3-2 and 2 out. Runners go on ball 4. That's just what the Phillies need, a bases loaded situation. No one throwing in the Dodger bullpen. Rick Honeycutt going out to the mound. What is there to say for the pitching coach? Hang in there, I guess, more than anything else. Ben Revere, the smallish center fielder, single to left, struck out, fly to center, grounded out. Revere is 1 for 4. Figured tonight that somewhere along the way we would see Brandon Lee. And this is the kind of a game that League needs. So one-sided, it's like a spring training game. And he'll have a chance to experiment and test as the Dodgers try to bring him back. So the bases are loaded with Brown, Young, and Mayberry. And Revere a strike. 0-1. Revere 1 for 4. In the dirt, another nice save by Fedorovich. Brown, Young, and Mayberry, they're all out there. There's Brown. There's Mr. Young. And John Mayberry. One and one. And little foul out of play, 1-2. It's been Capuano, Moylan, and Guerrero. John Lannon has 3 hits tonight, the pitcher for Philadelphia. He's 3 for 4. One and two. And that's hit in the air to shallow left field. Ethier is there, and the inning is over. 9 men to the plate. 3 came in, and it's 15-1. Philadelphia. Way, our Twitter poll question, remember, and the results. Which National League division is the most competitive? And you can see we are certainly a Western Division city, 55%. I would have to disagree, but what does that mean? Thank you for your participation. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, and then we'll see about Matt Guerrier. Kemp flied to right, flied to left, 0 for 2. John McDonald has taken over at shortstop for Jimmy Rollins. And Kevin Franzen is now at second base for Chase Utley. John Lannon has to be enjoying every minute of this. 1 ball and 1 strike. John Lannon, I'm just checking, he had 2 complete games back in 2009 for the Nationals. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 and 2. We mentioned it way at the start of the game. The Phillies have been very successful here at Dodger Stadium since 2010. Just not only regular season games, also postseason games. They've won 12 of 18 here, and they've won 3 straight series. 2 and 2. Last year, Phillies won a couple of games against the Dodgers here, and the Dodgers won 4 games in Philadelphia. Dodgers will be in Philadelphia on August 16, 17, and 18. And that strike 3 call. Matt Kemp just slowly walks away, disagreeing with plate umpire Dale Scott. 1 out in the 7th for John Lannon, who struck out Fedorovich in the 3rd inning. That would be just his 2nd strikeout. And for Lannon, who cares, right? John's had a big night, 3 hits. Andre Ethier grounded out and singled. Juan Uribe again out on deck. I'm sure you're wondering, what's the worst licking the Dodgers ever had? The biggest loss in Dodger franchise history. So that includes Brooklyn. They lost the game in Cincinnati in 1940, 23-2. There's a drive to right, but it appears playable, and Young makes the catch. So Ethier a fly ball. He's 1 for 3. And Uribe now will come up and bat for Matt McGear. Checking the National League scoreboard again. Atlanta took care of Arizona. Colorado beat the Giants. San Diego over Miami. So San Diego, remember, as you see Pittsburgh over Milwaukee, Washington, New York. San Diego began the day 3.5 back. But they win. Giants lose. Arizona loses. So San Diego's 2.5 back. So Uribe. First ball swinging, fly ball to center. He's done. So are the Dodgers in the 7th. And at the end of 7th, 15-1, Philadelphia. and they have an avalanche of base hits. 19 hits, producing 15 runs, and a very comfortable 15-1 lead. The Philly offense, well, 15 runs. First game this year, they've scored more than 10. 4 runs in the 6th, and then 3 in 3 other innings, and 19 hits. We told you about the biggest loss in franchise history, 23-2 in Cincinnati in 1940. The biggest Los Angeles Dodger walloping, May the 5th, 2001 at Wrigley Field, when the Cubs put it to the Dodgers and beat them 20-1. So you see, there's a long way to go. Brandon League now trying to use a runaway game to sharpen up. If he's been trying too hard of late, he certainly doesn't have to do that tonight. So Brandon League sitting in the bullpen and watching what Philadelphia has been doing. He comes in with an earned run average. Well, now looky you. Are you the best? And you too. Well, we are so glad to have you both. That's a nose. $15-1, 8th inning. Carlos Ruiz. In fact, Lance Nix now comes out on deck. Ground foul outside of third. Ruiz struck out, grounded to short, double fouled out. One for 4. You go for 1 for 4 tonight for Philadelphia, and it's like you're not trying. 2-1. Dodgers move Punto from third to short. Uribe, who pinch hit, is playing third. 2-1. Ow, got him. So Ruiz hit by a pitch to open up the 8th inning. Brandon League will now face not the hot-hitting John Lannon, who has 3 hits. Instead, Lance Nix. Lance Nix appeared as a pinch hitter last night and popped up. And a strike. 0-1. That fastball got up there at 94. Nix, 211, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. Both home runs as a pinch hitter. He has 9 pinch hits, 5 RBIs, and 2 home runs, all as a pinch hitter. John Lannon made 100 pitches, and he will now have beaten the Dodgers 5 straight in the dirt. 1-2. So it's been Capuano, then Moylan, then Guerrier, now League. But John Lannon, a big night. First time he picks up the victory this year. He came in here having beaten the Dodgers 4 straight, so now it's 5. He's 3-1 at Dodger Stadium, and he will be 5-1 lifetime against the Dodgers. John Lannon, the boy from Long Island who worshiped Don Mattingly, and he really put it to Mattingly tonight. One and two. 2-2. Little ground ball. Van Slyke looks at second. No play there. So he steps on the bag. Down to second base goes Ruiz.
Batting next, third baseman, number 10.
And with one out, the batter is Michael Young. We were asking about tomorrow night's game. Cliff Lee, Hyun-Jin Ryu. So we were double checking with the Dodgers, and they tell us tomorrow there are only a few hundred tickets remaining for tomorrow night's game. And they figure it certainly will be a sellout sometime during the day tomorrow. That's the last we know, but it's pretty good advice. I mean, if you're thinking of coming over tomorrow night to see the game and you don't have the ticket, we would advise you to take it easy and find a place to watch it on TV. And that's going to be a wild pitch just to add to everything else. And Ruiz will go down to third. The paid attendance tonight, a large crowd on a Friday night, fireworks after the game, and the paid attendance 48,828. Michael Young has 4 hits tonight. He now has 2,310 hits in his career and averaging 197 hits per season. 2-1. Ground ball. Van Slyke stays with it for the out. However, Ruiz scores, and that makes it 16-1. Michael Young rounding out, but getting a run batted in. And Kevin Frandsen, he came up and batted for Utley in the 7th, hit into a force play. Now comes up with 2 out and the bases empty. Frandsen hitting .274. Sinker missing, ball 1. Eighth inning, 16 runs on 19 hits for the Phils. And that's line down the line foul. 1 ball and 1 strike. When the Dodgers bat in the bottom of the 8th, they'll have Fedorovich, Punto, and Mark Ellis. And if anybody gets on, Puig. And I'm sure there are a lot of folks here in the ballpark who are not planning to watch the fireworks, but they'll hang around to see if Puig has an at-bat. Well, there it is, the 20th hit, and it's a single by Kevin Frandsen.
Shortstop, John McDonald.
20 hits, and that'll bring up John McDonald. McDonald batted for Jimmy Rollins and singled. It was almost a double, a great effort by Nick Punto. So Johnny Mac 1 for 1. And ball 1. On deck, Dominic Brown. And that's a 1-hopper to short. They'll get the force play, and that's that. Punto to Ellis. However, nothing stops Philadelphia tonight. They add another run, and they lead 16-1 as John Lannon says goodnight. of base hits. For the Dodgers, however, not very much, just 5 hits, and one little has turned out to be an insignificant run. So they've been walloped tonight, made no mistake about that. Philippe Aumont coming in. He was born in Quebec in Canada. 24 years old, lives in Holiday, Florida. He was with the Phillies briefly last year, and he must have just been called up because he was not on their roster 2 days ago. So we'll check about Aumont. (16-1) Phils, and here's Fedorovich. Little number foul. Aumont joined the ball club in San Diego. He was just recalled. He was with the Phillies early in April and went back down in May. Fedorovich waiting, 0-1, roll at a shortstop. John Mack is there to make the play, and we have 1 out here in the 8th inning. Remember, MLB.com at bat is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Dodger baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at Bat to 31826 or visit Dodgers.com for details. Philippe Aumont is 6'7". He is a big man out there. And Punto slices one, barehanded by Aumont. Low throw and a nice pick at first by John Mayberry. Whoa, that would have made Dad proud. So Aumont almost throws it away. Instead makes a fine play. Started to think about using his glove, and then I believe he realized, nope, bare hand saved me the switch. And there's Mayberry leaning, fighting, and then making the save. 2 down, 8th inning, and Mark Ellis, who is 0 for 3. Dodgers have 5 hits. Puig is 1 for 2 with a walk. Van Slyke pinch hit for Gonzalez and doubled. Ethier 1 for 3. And Hairston had an infield single. And that's it. The Dodger run came in the 6th inning when Puig walked and Van Slyke doubled him in. Capuano, Moylan, Guerrier, and League. Lannon, and now Aumont. Look out behind him and hit him. Or did he avoid it? He just did avoid it. 1-2 the count to Mark Ellis. One ball, 2 strikes. So now he goes the extreme away with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Don't forget tomorrow, we understand it's just about a sellout unless you can buy a ticket tomorrow morning or afternoon. And then tomorrow night, Cliff Lee and Hyun-Jin Ryu. Still 2-2. Sunday, the final game of the 4-game series, Kyle Kendrick, Stephen Fife. So Ryu still here making his notes. He'll be out there tomorrow. Two balls, 2 strikes. And another fastball at 94. Mark hitting .267. He has 4 home runs, 20 runs batted in. And another foul ball. Almont just joining Philadelphia again. Among other things, back in 2007, he was named the Canadian Junior National MVP. Played for Team Canada. That's low. Almont, among other things, was a first-round pick acquired from Seattle. 3-2. And he walks Ellis. So those who hung around will now have a chance to see Puig's last at bat. Yasiel grounded to short, single to right. It was a drive over the head of Delman Young, hit the right field wall, came right back, and Young fired it in. Last time up, Puig walked and scored the only Dodger run. 16-1 Philadelphia. And fouled away. So many times is Puig a first ball hitter. No balls and 1 strike. Puig hitting .429 and slices one foul down the right field line. That was a 95-mile-an-hour fastball down. 0-2. Because we'll remember that 0-2 slider down in a way that he managed to pull through the hole on the left side to drive in the tying and winning run last night. 0-2. And got him down and in. Ruiz records the out, and that'll do it in the 8th inning. So at the end of 8, 16-1, Philadelphia. Moment, although not a good catch. Nevertheless, as usual, giving it his best shot. Missed the ball and he played a single into a double. It eventually led to a run, but a run tonight for Philadelphia is nothing to talk about. They lead 16-1 in the 9th inning. Going back through the books, we get the information that the last time the Dodgers have given up more than 16 runs at home, wouldn't you know, it was against the Phillies. That was back in 1961. And would you believe the start of that day was Sandy Koufax at the Coliseum. The most ever allowed at Dodger Stadium is 16. 1987 against the Giants. That pitch got plate umpire Dale Scott. Wait a minute. So the senior umpire takes a lick behind the plate, and he'll try to walk it off. So Skip Schumacher, who has done this before. Schumacher coming in a runaway game. I think he last pitched for the Cardinals in one of these games. Nancy Patterson, make it Sue Falsone coming out. And Sue's going to check on Dale. Dale Scott, as we told you, he is the crew chief. And he's been umpiring in the National League for 28 years. He did the World Series in 98, 2001, 04. Worked the Dodger Cubs Division Series in 2008. Yeah, he's okay, thank goodness. 1-1 pitch is off the plate. 2-1 the count. Schumacher had a scoreless inning of relief and gives up this fly ball. Matt Kemp waiting for it. One away. So Dominic Brown flies out, and the batter is Delman Young. So Schumacher is pitching in relief for the second time this year and the third time in his career. Skip pitching to Young, who's had a good night and a good series tonight, especially 6 RBIs. He had 7 straight hits until he flied to center in the 4th inning, and he promptly strokes it to left right into the glove of Andre Ethier. So Schumacher gets 2 quick outs. Curveball. Schumacher's action, I think at first he thought that was hit harder than it was. So Skip now pitching to Mayberry, who has hit into a force play, flied to right, grounded out, homered with a man aboard, and walked. Ground foul. 75 miles an hour off speed pitch. Meanwhile, Chris Capuano alongside of Zach Greinke. Greinke was pushed around last night but survived it. Not so Capuano. 0-2 the count. No balls, 2 strikes. Ball 1. Threw that pretty hard. That was 91. Wow. Skip 5'10", 180, and he had, look at him grab his head. He was so worried that he almost hit him. Sorry about that. You know he's not trying to knock anybody down. 16-1 Philadelphia just got away. See that? Oh, no. Well, he has 2 outs here in the 9th inning. A very, very dedicated ball player. I don't think I've seen Skip smile in uniform. That was his fastball at 90. 3-2 with Revere on deck. So he's made 11 pitches. And just missed. changeup. It's a big grin on his face. Crowd boos. They thought he might have had Mayberry with that pitch. It's pretty close. Off speed, but it just drifted in.
Center fielder, Ben Revere.
Watch him now. That's the big smile after that pitch. Most of the time, playing the infield or the outfield or at bat, you never see him smile. Now he's getting wild. 1 ball and no strikes. For Skip, he just wants to get the job done. And that's going to be hit in the gap. Over to get it is Matt Kemp. Finally cuts it off, and there'll be runners at second and third with 2 out. A walk followed by a double by Revere. So Carlos Ruiz, the catcher, coming up. And of course, for Philadelphia, I mean, they're not fooling around, even though they have 16 runs, 20 hits. Every base hit, that's food on the table. You think Ruiz isn't have the idea right now as if it's the big at bat in the World Series? He sees a couple of ribbies out there. 2 out. And ball 1. It is hard to pitch. And for an infielder or an outfielder just to take over, very tough. That was 88. So his fastest pitch was 91, then 90. And I'm sure he's getting a little tired. Dropped that in nicely. That was a changeup. 79. Skip with the crowd really rooting for him just to end it. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on. 16-1 Philadelphia. 3-2. Skip now ready to make his 20th pitch. McGuire and Lilly rooting for him. That's ball 4. So the bases are loaded. Humberto Quintero, the catcher, is now going to come up and hit. Quintero caught last night's game and was 0 for 3, hit into a double play. It's a chance now for Quintero to polish up his act and a chance to pick up a couple of RBI. Paper airplane will not land. Now it does. The paper airplane boy was brought in to scoop it up. So Mayberry, Revere, and Ruiz all out there. 9th inning, 2 out. Fouled away. Schumacher has now made 21 pitches. It is not only very difficult to pitch, it also takes a lot out of you if you are not accustomed striding to the down slope of the mound. That really affects your legs. Then, of course, he hasn't pitched since April. 0-2 the count to Quintero. 22 pitches. That's a lot of work. He has walked 2, given up a hit. No balls and 2 strikes. Ball 1. That trouble with the fastball. That was 89. Oh boy, Quintero will hear about that from his teammates as he strikes out with the bases loaded against Skip Schumacher. So the Phillies fail to score. Boy, that's a headline. We're heading for the bottom of the 9th, 16-1. runs, 21 hits, and no errors. And the Dodgers just 1 run, 5 hits, and 1 error. Left-handed Joe Savory coming out of Houston, Texas. Went to Rice University, and he's a first-round pick back in 2007. Joe is 6'3", about 235. He'll be 28 years old in November. Signed his contract in 2007 and finally came up just for a look in 11. Up for 19 games in 2012. And here he is trying to close it up. Joe graduated from high school with a 3.98 grade point average, and he also played football for Lamar High. And ball 1. Scott Van Slyke doubled to drive in the only Dodger run. He appeared as a pinch hitter for Gonzalez in the 6th and stayed in the game. 2-0 the count. Joe Savory played a lot of football in high school. Threw for 1,900 yards, 23 touchdowns. 2-1. And they check. No swing. 3-1 to Scott Van Slyke. 6 home runs, 12 RBIs, 6 doubles, and a strike. 3-2. Joe Savory majored in managerial studies and sports management at Rice. 3-2. Fastball. Big night for John Lannon. First win of the year. And he also had 3 hits. Fastball fouled off. Lannon will have beaten the Dodgers 5 straight, and he'll be 3-1 pitching here at Dodger Stadium. 3-2 the count to Chris Van Slyke. And ball 4. So Savory draws a walk. A reminder, Dodgers Live coming up after the game.
Skip Schumacher.
Now Skip Schumacher, who pitched the top of the 9th inning, coming up. Skip got the first 2 hitters, then he walked Mayberry, gave up a double to Revere and walked Ruiz, and then struck out Quintero with the bases loaded. Now up there in a more familiar position as a hitter. Hitting .249. Breaking ball for ball 1. Savory, I'm sure, a little annoyed at himself. I mean, you're leading 16-1 and you walk the leadoff man. And now he's behind 2-0. Two balls, no strikes. Roller down to the right side. They're going to get 1. They might get 2. And they don't. It gets away from Mayberry. So Schumacher hits into a force play. 1 out.
Center fielder,
That was Franson and McDonald as opposed to Utley and Rollins. So 1 away, and Matt Kemp flied to right, flied to left, and struck out. The Phillies, with 16 runs tonight, are actually 3 shy of today's high in the majors. The Indians scored 19 runs to beat the White Sox in Chicago. Ironically, the score there tonight was the same as in the game Koufax lost. Remember the game we were talking about at the Coliseum, 19-10. Oh, and 1 to Matt. Oh, and 2. One and 2 to Matt Kemp. Phillies trying to get some outs, finish off the game. The Philadelphia bullpen has not pitched well at home. They only had 6 saves at home, and they've lost 23 on the road. I mean, they're not going to lose this one, but the pen has not been a strong suit. 2 and 2 the count to Matt Kemp. In the month of June, the Philadelphia bullpen 4 saves in 9 opportunities. Two balls, 2 strikes to Matt Kemp. 1 out. Kemp fouls it back. Cliff Lee, Hyun-Jin Ryu tomorrow night. Kyle Kendrick, Stephen Fife on Sunday. And to repeat, we certainly don't want you to be inconvenienced. We certainly appreciate your patronage. But they told us that there's only a couple of hundred seats left, and they figure they'll be sold tomorrow by the afternoon, and we don't want you to come out here tomorrow night and waste your time. 3 and 2 the count to Matt Kemp. So Savory walked Van Slyke. Ramirez. Schumacher hits into the force. And low for ball 4. Well, that's a bad night for a young pitcher to walk 2 when it's 16-1. It makes you wonder, of course, would you trust him in a tough 1-run game? Though he's getting a little more experience. Carlos Ruiz out to talk to him. Andre Ethier grounded out, single fly to right. We had a wayward thought. We just wanted to duck in. Hanley Ramirez got a base hit in the 6th inning. So Ramirez extends his hitting streak to 10 tonight. About the only thing the Dodgers can salvage. Comforting for the Dodgers, however, they did not lose any ground. Arizona lost and remains 6 in front. And a strike to Ethier. 1 out, 9th inning, 16-1 Philadelphia. Juan Uribe on deck. 1 and 1. Savory on and off the rubber. Joe trying to throw some strikes here. 1 and 1. Ball 2. So it is not an impressive performance right now for Joe Savory. If anything, you would certainly, with a 15-run lead, you'd expect him to make sure he throws strikes, but he's walked 2. 2 and 1. And ball 3. Savory, who just was recalled from Lehigh Valley. 3-1 the count. And a mile-high fly ball to center. Then Revere. So Ethier goes 1 for 4. Dodgers down to their last out, and it's Juan Uribe.
Third baseman, number 5, Juan Uribe.
So the Phils, 16 runs, 21 hits, 1 error. Dodgers 1 run, 5 hits, 1 error. It's been that kind of a night. Philadelphia failed to score only in 1 inning, and the Dodgers managed to score only in 1 inning. Phillies had 3 runs in 3 different innings. They had a 4-run inning, and they had a 3rd inning where they scored 1 apiece. Uribe hitting .272, 3 home runs, 16 runs batted in. And now he has him 0-2. The winning pitcher will be John Lannon, 1-2, 5-1 lifetime against the Dodgers, winning 5 straight. John is 3-1 pitching here at Dodger Stadium. We told you at the very start of the game, the Phillies do very well going head to head with the Dodgers, whether it's Philadelphia or here, but especially here. They've won the last 3 series here. And since 2010, regular season and playoffs, they're 12-6. One and 2 to Juan Uribe. And got him. So called out on strikes, and that mercifully is the end of it. Big night for Delmon Young. He has 6 runs batted in. And a reminder, stay tuned for Dodgers Live coming up next. Good night, everybody.